in shape. Rump shaking both ways, make you do a double take. Planet rocker, showstopper, flow proper, head knocker, beat scholar, tail dropper. Do my thing, mother. My Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, Blue Medina, always beaming, rag top, chrome pipes, blue lights out of sight. Long weed, sold in, say it again, sold in. Make that money, throw it in, booty bouncing, don't hit. Everybody here, get your backs off the wall, 'cause misdemeanor said so.
Well, my name is Sierra for all you fly fellas. No one can do it better.
She'll sing on acapella.
Boy, the music makes me lose control.
We gon' make you lose control and let it go, for you know you gon' hit the flow. I rock to the beat till I'm higher. Walk in the club is fire. Get it crunk and wired. Wave your hands, scream louder. If you smoke, then fired up. Bring the roof down and holler. If you tipsy, stand up. DJ, turn it louder. Take somebody by the waist and now throw it in their face like hypnotic, robotic. This here will rock your bodies. Take somebody by the waist and now throw it in their face like systematic, ecstatic. This hit be automatic.
Work the me, work the me, work the me, work the work, work the me, work the work, work the me.
Do it right.
Hit the bar,
Yes,
hit the
yes,
bar,
yes.
hit the bar, hit the bar, hit the bar, hit the bar.
Everybody here, get your backs off the wall. Misdemeanor said so. Everybody here, get it out of control. 'Cause misdemeanor said
So everybody steps, everybody steps, everybody steps.
everybody get loose.
Music make you lose control. We on fire, we on fire, we on fire, we on fire. Now throw it, girl, throw it, girl, throw it, girl. Yeah. Now move your arms to the left, girl. Now move your arms to the left, girl. Now move your arms to the right, girl. Now move your arms to the right, girl. Let's go now, let's go now, let's go now. Woo, let's go. Should I bring it back right now? No, bring it back now. Woo! Oh! I see you, see. Now see, I'ma do it like C. Now shake it, girl. Come on and just shake it, girl. Come on and let it pop like girl. Come on and let it pop like girl. Now, back it up, girl. Back it up, girl. Back it up, girl. Back it up, girl. Woo! 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 Yo, bring it to the front, girl. 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 Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Look at weekend parties, because weekends were. All you ladies, clap your hands, stomp your feet, and grab your man. Okay, man, it's your time. Trouble ladies, what's on your mind?
Oh my gosh, we are here. We made it. Lookout weekend. We're gonna come for you. Thank you so much, everyone. Hello, my name is Lisette Garza,
And I'm Michael Aguilar.
and we're your MCs for tonight's Seeds of Change Rooted in Radical Joy. In case you don't know, this is a virtual fundraising event and celebration of activism and organizing in Chicago. So thanks for tuning in.
Last night, we had a conversation with Amy Goodman and Jane Camundo and a very special furry guest, Zazu, that grounded us in the reality of this moment. They talked about the state of democracy in America, that we must fight for that vision every day and resist corporate influence in media. They talked about self-determination, people speaking for themselves, and the importance of our communities telling their own stories. They talked about that even with the current administration, we're presented with a door, and it is up to us to kick it open with some fierce organizing. And during a pandemic, amidst ongoing white supremacist, patriarchal violence, that we can cultivate radical joy and fight for things like universal health care, an end to oil pipelines, and build a sustainable future. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a great program lined up this evening, including an awards presentation and a panel with this year's awardees, Brave Space Alliance, GoodKids MadCity, and Shy Nations Youth Council, moderated by the brilliant and talented poet, singer, songwriter, Jamila Woods.
And tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Jamila Woods will be back for an exclusive musical performance that you don't want to miss. I also want to use this time to give a very special thank you to our wonderful sponsors for supporting Crossroads Fund's work. It's because of you that this program is made possible and the ability to share our movement work far and wide. So big special thank you to the Leadership Circle, which includes Resource Generation Chicago, Chicago Foundation for Women, and Grand Victoria Chicago, or Grand Victoria Foundation.
Shout out to our catalysts, John D'Amelio, Susan Eleuterio, Tom Sorles, Dale and Ruth Fast, the Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation, McAlpine Consulting for Growth, Irving Harris Foundation, Zach Hilsing and John Lehman, Pierce Family Foundation, Carlene Schrader, Paul Lehman, and Rona Stam. To view a full list of our sponsors, visit our website at crossroadsfund.org.
Now we know some of you might be new here, so welcome. And I want to let you know a little bit more about our work as a movement funder in Chicago. Crossroads Fund is a public foundation that provides resources for groups working on racial, social, and economic justice. We boldly and unapologetically raise money and redistribute it to groups on the front lines of change. And this year, we're celebrating a milestone year as Crossroads Fund turns 40. 40 years rooted in radical change. And in that time, we've given out $12 million to over 900 groups. That definitely could not have made possible without you, as you're the activists, you're the organizers, and the donors sustaining this work.
On our 40th anniversary, we want to say thank you to the 2021 host committee, our volunteers who build our capacity throughout the year, our staff, past and present, and the founders of Crossroads Fund who had a radical vision that a community foundation could support small, grassroots groups to create change, not charity. 4 decades and $12 million in grants later, we can see the results. an end to the death penalty in Illinois, wheel accessible public transportation, reparations for survivors of police torture, an end to the racist, classist use of money bond, improvements for workers, more resources for migrants and immigrants, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, and so much more. Whew! Got your glass, Lizette?
You know I'm ready.
So let's take a moment to raise our glass for a virtual toast to radical visionaries and those leading transformative work. Cheers to the wins of the past 40 years and the many more wins to come.
Clink. And speaking of more wins to come, we're raising funds this evening to sustain movement work and support those leading us to those wins, especially during this critical time. Social change work is so desperately needed of investment and sustainability to combat the inequities that have been amplified in this pandemic. The enforced austerity that our marginalized communities face time and time again in the face of white supremacy violence. And I want to take a special moment to lift up the Asian community after such horrific violence that took place in Atlanta this week. And certainly lifting up the names like Breonna Taylor and Anjanette Young as we fight for the Black lives and continue that work. In Chicago, we send solidarity to those fighting the denial of the relocation of General Iron and the prevention of further polluting Black and Brown communities. This is the exact work that we fight for, countering unresponsive systems and challenging structural racism, rampant xenophobia, misogyny, transphobia, and so much more, so that we can push past this state of survival and build on the fruitful work of collective liberation. So that is our goal. And at Crossroads Fund, we need to resource these movements like we want them to win. So our goal is to raise $200,000. And we want to make sure that you can consider making a contribution. And one way to do that is participating in our online auction. This year, there are over 150 items to bid on. And a special thank you to all the businesses and individuals who have donated artwork, jewelry, a weekend getaway, because I know some of us have probably cabin fever, and there's so much more. So be sure to support these progressive businesses, show them some love, bid high, bid often, and just so you know, the silent auction is open to all, and we'll close this Friday, March 19th at 8 p.m. So see you then. And I also want to share, since we're here, that I know this is heavy stuff, right? And movement work is certainly not easy. And I want to check in with Michael, right? To see how have you been enjoying yourself, rooting yourself in radical joy. I know social change requires a lot of sustainability for self to keep us going in this fight. So tell me.
All right, I got a whole list. First one on that list, though, is working with you and working with the whole Crossroads staff and board, because y'all give me so much hope and joy. But real talk, brushing my hair, because look at this hair. This is a year later, y'all. This is a later year. Midday naps, lying down in bed, gotta do it. Living room dance parties, talking to my cousins, abolishing the police. You know, just a couple things. How about you, Lizette? What brings you radical joy?
You know, I love to dance, so I'm definitely in the living room dance parties. Taking care of my curls, finally learned how to do that after so many years. I've also been scrolling on TikTok nonstop because that gives me so much life and so much joy. And connecting with the young people in my life, whether it's through Crossroads Fund or outside and personally. And of course, being connected to Crossroads Fund and you and the whole community we have here, and we built deep solidarity. It's really rewarding. And I really look forward to the presentation that we have tonight, to take just a moment to honor all the amazing work that truly ignites me, that fuels me and keeps me going. So I am thrilled and honored to be able to present the first award of the evening, which is the Ron Sable Award for Activism. Ron Sable was an activist and moving spirit here in Chicago. As a doctor at Cook County Hospital, now known as Stroger Hospital, Ron helped to provide care to low-income community members and worked across connecting issues including women's rights and reproductive rights, the just treatment of prisoners, and national health care for all. Sounds very timely and familiar. Ron served on the Crossroads Fund Board of Directors for 10 years, and it is with great honor that we remember his vision and his legacy through this award. Tonight, the Ron Sable Award goes to, drumroll please, Brave Space Alliance. Brave Space Alliance is the first Black-led, trans-led LGBTQIA center located on the south side of Chicago and designed to create and provide affirming and culturally competent services for the entire LGBTQ community here. Here is a glimpse of their work.
My name is Jay Rice. I am the communications coordinator and the social media coordinator here at Brave Space Alliance. Brave Space Alliance is a Black-led, trans-led, and specifically the only Black-led, trans-led LGBTQ center here on the south side of Chicago. Our mission is very simple. We are here to liberate Black LGBTQ folks and all LGBTQ folks through giving out resources that are not only culturally competent, but also affirming to the LGBTQ community. The food pantry was a direct response to the pandemic and to COVID-19. People weren't able to leave their houses. And of course, when we're talking about any sort of limitations on movements, there's going to be even more limitations on the LGBTQ community. So we stepped it up. We went and we raised money for the food pantry. We made different bags. We organized volunteers to drop off those bags. So not only were we delivering food to over 15,000 people or providing food, but we were delivering it straight to their house, and we're still doing it. So when the uprisings happened in Hyde Park, we were actually able to be a safe sanctuary for protesters. But also, we knew that we needed to provide jail support in the way of pre-made sandwiches, Gatorade, handheld snacks, rehydration capsules, things of that nature, to actual jail support. So that consisted of me every day, because there were protests and uprisings every day, going around to the different jails, physically going around, connecting with those people who were on the ground and asking them what they needed. If they needed anything from blankets to Gatorade, we made sure that that was provided for them. And that was every single jail in the Chicagoland area where uprisings were happening. We're interested in tearing those systems completely down and building up something that is beneficial for all oppressed people. So yeah, I think that idea of when you redistribute those resources in that intentional way and provide mutual aid in a very intentional way, police abolition comes, defunding the police comes. Because when we're talking about defunding the police, we're not just saying taking money away from the police. We're saying taking money away from the police and redistribute those funds into different Black-led, trans-led organizations, into different Black and LGBTQ communities. So they do go hand in hand, abolition and defunding.
They go hand in hand. Thank you so much, Brave Space Alliance, for all the work you do at various intersections and certainly strengthening the liberatory work here in Chicago. To accept the Ron Sable Award for Activism, I want to welcome LaSaya Wade, Executive Director and founder of Brave Space Alliance.
Hello, everyone. My name is LaSaya Wade. I am the founder and executive director of Brave Space Alliance. Thank you so much for this award. It means so much to us at Brave Space Alliance. The long work that we have continued to do on the ground with Brave Space, we will continue to do in the future realms. On levels of activism that Brave Space and myself and staff have throughout Chicagoland and also throughout this country, this means a lot to us. Crossroads Fund has been there since the beginning when we decided to create an organization to combat the ignorance throughout Chicago and completely push back around police violence, transphobia, and homophobia as well. So today I thank you And thank you for the 15 plus years of organizing that myself have done to this particular moment, to acknowledge that the work that we have continued to do from Mary Jones to Marsha P. Johnson and Silva Rivera. I thank you to continue to see Brave Space on so many different levels and understand that we will continue to push ourselves forward into the future where we can create a liberatory space and also hopefully create a sanctuary where our city was supposed to be.
Thank you, Lasaya. Thank you, Brave Space Alliance. Up next is the Donald F. Erickson Synapsis Award. Crossroads Fund is grateful and honored Ron Erickson and his work for social change through this award. Ron taught geography, history, and social studies at Calumet High School. He was also a committed activist for peace and justice, working to end human rights violations across the globe. Tonight, we present the Donald F. Erickson Synapsis Award to GoodKids MadCity. Founded in the wake of Parkland, Florida's shooting in 2018, GoodKids MadCity provides support to young people affected by shootings while pushing for policies that address the systemic causes of gun violence. GoodKids MadCity has galvanized Chicago by being a leading voice in the demand to defund the Chicago Police Department and invest resources into communities. They consistently led protests week after week last summer during the uprisings of 2020. Here's a short video about their work. And a brief content warning. There is police violence against protesters in this video, as well as
During the summer of 2020, Chicago's protesters for Black Lives took to the street to honor the lives lost: George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rekia Boyd, Laquan McDonald. We protested and marched and rallied in honor of thousands of Black people murdered by police across the country. We protested downtown, in Hyde Park, uptown, and at the Circle, formerly known as Columbus. We demanded justice. We demanded an end to police murders. We demanded that Chicago make Black Lives Matter, and we demanded the funding of CPD. CPD responded to our demands with brutal violence. While we were protesting to demand change, CPD used batons to beat us over the head, targeted our leaders with violent assaults, sprayed us with pepper spray and tear gas, causing us to gag and choke during the middle of a pandemic, chased us and threw us to the ground, trapped us and refused to let us go home, and even arrested some of us on false charges. The Chicago Police Department tried to silence us. They tried to stop our movement, but we can't be silenced. And on November 19, 2020, we took our fight to federal court. Protesters for Black Lives filed a historic lawsuit seeking to hold accountable the Chicago police officers who brutalized us. We are Black-led, but our collective represents the diversity of this summer's uprisings. We are from every part of the city. We include experienced organizers and people who took to the streets for the first time this summer. Superintendent Brown is responsible for what happened to us. He bragged on social media about standing shoulder to shoulder with police officers during a protest where CPD was aggressive and violent towards peaceful protesters. He didn't hold accountable officers caught on tape using lethal force against protesters. We're suing him to make him accountable to us. We're also demanding that the city of Chicago serve us justice. Our lawsuit tells the history of the Chicago police, a police force that has always used violence to target and silence people demanding change, including the racial unrest of 1919, 1968 Democratic Convention, and the execution of Fred Hampton. CPD's legacy of violence continues to this day. A federal court monitor has documented that CPD ignores its own rules and violates its own policies. No wonder that CPD thought that they could get away with leaving protesters beaten and bloodied. They always get away with it. CPD hasn't changed for 100 years. CPD will never change. That's why we must defund CPD. That's why we need mental health providers and not CPD to show up when someone is in crisis. That's why we must establish the Peace Book, a youth-led peacekeeping initiative that's an alternative to the police. Organizers involved in this lawsuit include members from the Let Us Breathe Collective, Black Lives Matter Chicago, GoodKids MadCity, and Brighton Park Council.
Thank you, Miracle, and the youth leaders at GoodKids MadCity for continuing to show us the way forward. Accepting the Donald F. Erickson Synapsis Award for GoodKids MadCity is youth leader India Jackson.
Hello, everybody. This is India Jackson representing GoodKids MadCity, and we are so honored to be receiving the Donald F. Erickson Synapsis Award from Crossroads Fund. This award really means a lot to us. We're happy that we're being recognized for the work we do. And I just want to reiterate, all of this work that we do is strictly out of love. Rooted in love is all about love. We really want to better our communities. We really want to just make Chicago a safe place for everybody. We want everybody to have the resources they need. We want to end gun violence. We want to do all of it. We genuinely love and support everybody. So again, this award means a lot to us. It shows that just as hard as we love everybody else, you guys love us too. And that feels really good. So on behalf of GoodKids MadCity, thank you once again for this award, guys. It really means a lot. Love you guys.
India, the love is reciprocal. It is here. I feel it. And now I just want to share our final award, which is the Linda J. Tipton Award for social justice. Linda was an activist who demonstrated for civil rights, women's rights, and for peace. She shared the same ideals of Crossroads Fund, especially the recognition that all issues are intertwined and we are all interconnected. We remember her and celebrate her life with this award. And Crossroads Fund is proud to present the Linda J. Tipton Award to Chi Nations Youth Council. Chi Nations Youth Council works to create a brave and supportive environment for Native youth through arts, activism, and education. They have led campaigns for Black and Indigenous sovereignty and solidarity, the removal of white supremacist monuments, mascots, and negative depictions of Indigenous peoples, while actively safeguarding the environment to stop oil pipeline developments through Indigenous lands. Here is a short video about their work by Chi Nations Youth Council.
We must remember that the power and the force of these lands are in our hands, in our bodies. We gather to stand with our northern relatives and remember all of our people in need of support. From government-created borders, these borders that divide us, the spiritual borders that also blind us, but now is the time to unite. We must organize and unite. We are one, Ometeo and Plaza Comati.
Once again, they're pushing us off of our own lands, but this time, their own laws are on our side. There's been precedent said that these lands are unceded and they will go back to these people. And we have to say, like, there's got to be a time when there's going to be enough. And this time, I think everybody's gathering over there, and these people, they need our support from everywhere. And as long as we're gathering, as long as there's the spirit of people not taking this shit no more, then we can continue to stand up against these places. I want something to change because I don't want to leave, you know. So as we continue on, we have to remember to support the Indigenous people of the land because they know what's best for the land. We've been with the land, we were created with the land, and we grew together this long, and it hasn't been that long since they disconnected that from us. It's only been a couple hundred years, in the time of all time, it's a very small window that they took from us. So this land still remembers who we are. Our languages still remember who we are. The water still remembers who we are. So we have to also remember who we are.
All of that, all of it, yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, Chi Nations Youth Council, for the work you do, your fight for justice, and reminding us of our relationship to this land. Accepting this award are Winfield, Anthony, and AJ, members of Chi Nations Youth Council.
My name is Winfield. When did I? I'm a member of China Nations Youth Council. I'm 19 years old, and
Bonjour, my name is Anthony Tamez Pochel. I'm also Pacific First Nations Cree and Chicanga Lakota, and I'm a member of China Nations Youth Council. And for those of you who don't know, we're a Native Youth Council here in the city of Chicago, with a mission to create safe space for Native youth through arts, activism, and education.
Hello, my name's AJ. I'm a member of Chinese Youth Council, a singer on Skiba Mansi Youth Drum, and Beaver Clan. We're currently up here in northern Minnesota, tapping maple trees and sugar bushing. And we're up here standing against and in solidarity with Stop Line 3, which is a tar sands pipeline proposed and is currently being built in Minnesota, which is endangering wild rice fields, pristine forest, and indigenous lifeways like sugar bushing, and like we're experiencing here in these pristine woods.
So while we're up here practicing our culture and protecting the land, it's definitely an honor to be awarded by the Crossroads Fund with the Linda J. Tipton Memorial Award for Social Justice, along with two other amazing youth organizations here in the city of Chicago, Brave Space Alliance and GoodKids MadCity, two Black organizations here in the city of Chicago. It's an honor to be awarded with them. It's an honor to stand on the same stage as them. And it's an honor to continue to work with them here in our city.
We're happy to accept the same award that OCAD and BYP 100 had accepted previously, two organizations that we've got the opportunity to organize with this summer. And we're happy to be out here sugar bushing. It's one of the best times of year for our Anishinaabe people. Thank you.
Miigwech.
Whew, thank you so much to Winfield, Anthony, AJ, and everyone at China Nations Youth Council. We're sending you so much love and solidarity as you fight back against the Line 3 pipeline in Minnesota and protect the land. Whew. And now, we're honored to introduce poet, singer, and songwriter Jamila Woods in conversation with our 2021 awardees, youth leaders from Brave Space Alliance, GoodKids MadCity, and Chi Nations Youth Council. Please welcome Jamila.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So excited to be here for this conversation with y'all today. I would love to just start out by wondering how you're doing. If you could just say how you're doing today and go around and introduce yourself and your organization that you come from.
Hi, I am Tati. My pronouns are they, them. I am doing pretty good today. I work for Brave Space Alliance as the mutual aid coordinator. We are the first and only Black-led all-trans organization on the south side of Chicago.
Bonjour, Ani, Esqueri, Nini, Ninjas, Nakash, Chicago, Ninja. Hello, everyone. My name's Anthony Tamez Pochel. I'm West Pacific First Nations Cree, Chicanga Lakota, and I am a member of the China Nations Youth Council, a Native Youth Council here in the city of Chicago.
Awesome. And how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to be here and excited to have this conversation with everybody.
Hey guys, it's India, she, her. I'm a member of GoodKids MadCity. I've been with them for almost 2 years now. I'm in a pretty good mood, just tired.
I feel that. So before we get into some more questions about your work, I would love to hear if any of you have a person or even an organization that inspires you. I felt like it would be nice to kind of open by calling out some of the names that, you know, made us the people who we are and inspired us to do what we do. Tati, do you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, I'm constantly inspired by the people I work with at Brave Space. Obviously, Lasiah Wade is amazing, and I would not have this job without her. and I'm very grateful for her for giving me this opportunity, and just like what she has done for like Black trans people and what she's doing for Black trans people is amazing and something that I wish to go with for the rest of my life.
Awesome.
For me, it's gonna be my aunties and my mom. My mom's name is Patty. My aunts Janie, Fawn, Justine, and then a lot of my peers and my friends in the youth council: Naomi, Eli, Winfield, Evan, Adrian. The work that we do is pretty hard work, being Native kids here in the city of Chicago, and no matter what emotional or physical labor that it's putting on us, they're always there to cheer me up and keep me going. And I do the work that I do because I like seeing a smile on their face.
That's beautiful. Thank you. India?
I don't know if I can say like a specific org that inspires me, but like I really love and admire Asada Shakur. She's like the driving force behind me wanting to be an activist from a young age.
Incredible. Thank you. So I really would love to hear about the origin stories of each of your organizations and whether there was a specific moment that sparked, someone to have the idea, or, how did it begin?
Yeah, so Lisaya started Brave Space Alliance back in 2017 because she saw that there were, like a lot of trans resources out there, but they were usually provided by like cis people, and they weren't exactly giving us what we need in the specific care and resources that we need. And so she decided to take matters into her own hands and start, mutual aid efforts and organizing efforts. And then from there, it grew to what it is today.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Chi Nation's Youth Council, I said it a little bit earlier, but we were started in 2012 with a mission to create safe space for Native youth through arts, activism, and education. So we're not the first Native Youth Council here in the city of Chicago. We're definitely not going to be the last. But really, we were at a community event, and the youth councils that came before me, my aunties and a lot of my mentors were in those spaces. So that was a suggestion that they had to the youth that were around at the time. But also, being a Native person, also being mixed, a lot of the times I was the only one in my classroom, or as a Native youth, you're the only Native person in your classroom. And really the only time people turn to you is, like during the month of November, or, when you move on to Native Americans in your history class. So that can get really uncomfortable, and no one really understands that except other Native youth. So we already hung out all of the time before, just because we're all in the same community. But from there, Chi Nations kind of got started. And the group overall kind of focuses on Native issues, but I would say primarily like around the environment, because anything that a Native person does is tied to the land, our language, our culture, how we live our daily lives, but without being the mystical Indian type of deal. And from there, Chi Nations kind of got formed, and then while we were in Chi Nations, we kind of, each of us have our own set of initiatives that we do. I focus a lot on representation, so ending race-based mascots. Specifically here in the city, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, of course. So that's kind of my main target. And then everyone else kind of has their other initiatives that they focus on as well.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm really racking my brain here because I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. But GoodKids MadCity started in 2018 here in Chicago on the South Side. Group of people came together, like looking for solutions to end gun violence here in the city. And of course, branched out into like other work too, like the Black Lives Matter movement, mutual aid work, grocery drop offs, really just the community, taking care of other people in the community.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. It feels like, you know, hearing you all speak about the origins, this theme of creating things for the community that are also involving the community, and particularly all of you being youth leaders of these spaces. What do you feel like is the vision for the future that you see? And why do you think it's important for particularly young people to be involved in creating that vision for the future?
Yeah, I mean, my ideal vision for the future is that capitalism in America and the world ceases to exist, and people are treated. People get the necessities they need without having to prove it through work or through whatever, and that gender ceases to exist as well. That's like my ideal future. And I think it's important for youth to be involved because, you know, this is kind of cheesy, but like we are the future, and like, you know, we have a responsibility to care for it, especially since like the generations before haven't. I feel like, okay, now it's our turn to really try and do the best that we can to save this earth and save this planet because it's dying and so many other communities are at stake, and we need to take care of it, and we need to take care of each other, and we need to break down these borders and break down these walls and break down all of these things that separate us, and like come together and actually like fight for the greater good, which I know is like kind of cheesy, but like that's what I envision as like my ideal future.
I think for myself, you know, an ideal future for me is land being returned back to Native people. We kind of already started that here in the city with the First Nations Garden. You know, working with the 35th Ward Alderman, five city plots were handed over to the Native community, so we can practice our culture without fear of, you know, persecution from, you know, people in our own neighborhoods, our neighbors, but also you know, city officials, the police, really anybody, because you know, being able to practice your culture here it's pretty hard in the city, especially when you're constantly being policed. So I'd like to see a future, you know, less policing, no policing actually, and then you know, land being returned back, you know, to Native people. Similar to Tati, you know, I think youth being involved in every conversation that we have is something that's very important. You know, we've seen you know, generations before us, they didn't involve youth in their conversations. People in my community, you know, they still don't involve youth in those conversations. You know, youth don't always have to lead those conversations, but to involve them in them is something that I think is very important, because, you know, eventually you're either going to age out of what you're doing, or you're going to go into, you know, a new position in your life, or, you know, when you you know, eventually, you know, when you do move on to that new position in your life, you know, we can't have people starting from scratch. So I think everything that we do has to be informed by youth, but it has to be intergenerational work. And so that's something that I hope to see in the future as well.
For me, the ideal future would be one where the police is literally stripped of everything. All those funds go back into the communities that they were taken from in the first place. All our tax dollars get redistributed back to us. And with that money being distributed back into the communities and back into the people, people have resources for the things they need, groceries, homes, like rent and stuff, mental health services, medicine, healthcare. And that, I think that would help create a crime-free world, because crime is directly linked to money. If people had what they need, they wouldn't need to commit crime in the first place.
Thank you. Yes, I think that's a really great point about the intersections of the issues that we face. And there was an action last summer at Grant Park where the three of your organizations came together. So I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about what that moment felt like to literally, feel that solidarity in that moment, and have there been future instances since then of you all coming together, and how do you think about solidarity in this work?
Yeah, I physically wasn't there, just for like health reasons. But I was kind of like working from home and like trying to coordinate mutual aid efforts and like jail support and whatnot through there. But I feel like there has always been like solidarity between our three organizations, and this was like a really good example of like it being a little bit more public. And I think it's important because like I think all of our issues are each other's issues, and we should care, and we should stand up for our Native siblings, and we should stand up for our Black siblings, our trans siblings, everyone, because those are our issues, and they're important. And I think it's important to care about everyone and to fight for what is right. I know I feel like I'm kind of like a cheesy little like one of those like inspirational posters that you like see on like Tumblr or something. But like gosh, I just think I don't know. It was nice to like see that like real like action being taken, just because I felt like the summer, it was like a mix of, police violence, but then also like these very like peaceful protests, that the narrative of those kind of got like weaponized for white people to be like, this is how you're supposed to protest. And it was kind of, I felt like we had lost control of the narrative as like Black people, as Native people, as Indigenous people. And I think that was like a good example of like us taking back the narrative and being like, this is what we want. We don't care about you, like naming this like Black Lives Matter way. Like, we do care about you taking down these statues, and like we do, when we're going to do it ourselves. And I don't care if you think that it's a violent thing. Like violence isn't necessarily bad. I mean, violence is what we have been taught is how you get things done in America. I'm like, police are shooting at us. We're over in other countries killing people for some frickin' oil. Violence is the language of America, and you're just upset. We know how to speak it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think for me, kind of going the cheesy route, it was very inspiring to be there, to see Black, Indigenous, and Native youth go up on the stage and speak about something that they're so passionate about, and to see such a large crowd to have attended. Something that really stuck with me is the Native community here. In the city of Chicago, they're very anti-Black, and being mixed, being Black and Native. I'm both of those things. I'm not part Black, I'm not part Native. I'm Native and Black, and that's what makes up whole Anthony. And it was just one of those things because I seen many different generations there from our community. So that kind of inspired hope in me as well, and kind of let me know, it's not everybody, but the work that we're doing needs to continue regardless of how hard it is. And just the solidarity between our three orgs, I thought that was amazing, and exemplified, what our people have been doing for generations, here in the city of Chicago. And when we marched, and then when Black, Indigenous, and Native youth got their asses beat by the police, seeing that, being around that, seeing people get hit with batons by white officers, it reminded me of what this didn't happen so long ago. This is still happening to Black and Indigenous people, and what we're doing is stopping it. I thought it was, a couple days to weeks after, I thought it was very interesting, in the same breath that Lori Lightfoot said that she was going to increase policing on the south and west sides of the city of Chicago. She stated the formation of the Monuments Assessment Team. And in that assessment team, you have organizations like the Joint Civic Italian American Club or something like that, who are literal white supremacists, sitting at the same table with people like Nick Sposato, who called us savages, who called a bunch of Black and Indigenous youth savages at the protest. And in that very same assessment team, there's people from the Native community who, we have people in our community. We have Heather Miller, Cynthia Soto, and Santiago X, who sit on that very same committee. And it's things like that that's very harmful to the work that's already being done. As people of color, as Indigenous people, as Native people, as Black people, we should not sit at this very same table as a white supremacist. We do not have to compromise. We see that when you compromise on things, things don't get better. Things stay the same. And so it was very important to Chi Nations that, this committee or monuments assessment team that the mayor created was dismantled. Because creating, I seen somewhere creating to kill a movement, just start a committee. And that's exactly what was being done. The committee came out with 40 statues. I believe there's over 500 statues in the city of Chicago, public statues. And they only came out with a list about 40 to 42. We as Chi Nations know that there's way more offensive statues here in the city of Chicago that need to be taken down. And that's just a clear example of what happens when you sit across from the table with literal white supremacy, and you compromise on your values and your morals. And I think that the protest that happened at Grant Park kind of weeded a lot of people out of the movement who we know weren't down, who we know were people, who weren't down with the statement, "We got us." And for me, I was it was sad, obviously, because those people are still in our community, but it just proves to show that anyone can kind of work against you, but no matter what, you got to keep going, and you got to keep the movement going.
Thank you for that word on compromise. I love that.
I also was not physically there for the action, but I did watch it from my phone. And it was honestly a really emotional moment for me, just seeing it all in action, seeing everybody in unison and solidarity. I don't think people fully understand how important it is for marginalized groups to stick together, because literally all we have is each other. Nobody's going to protect us better than us. We all share a common struggle. We all have a common enemy. And I really wish I could have been there. I really love the fact that everybody there protected each other. Like when things were getting hectic with the police, everybody there stuck together. And I think we've kind of kept that whole stick together mindset through other actions.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, this idea of cheesiness that keeps coming up, I just find it so interesting. It reminds me of the ways in which the most powerful tools that we have, the way society teaches us to kind of belittle them or be almost oh no, that's just corny or, too simple. One of my favorites is James Baldwin. And at the root of so many things that he talks about is love. And, that can be seen as cheesy, but he's really talking about something super complex that really involves it. What reminds me of what you all are speaking about the power to speak up when your people are, being oppressed or being, and to illuminate issues that might be going on, really bureaucratic issues. I didn't know that thing about the mayor's office and the list of statues, but it's important to illuminate those things, and it's all acts of love to criticize, a system that isn't doing right by the people who are ours, who we love. So kind of going off that, like, I would love to hear about some moments or just any aspect of your work that brings you joy and that empowers you. Maybe it's a specific memory or something specific in your day-to-day operations that brings you joy.
I mean, everything I do, I love very much, but coming from, because I graduated college back in 2019, and that first year out of school, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm just like a body, and like my soul and like my head is just like wandering above me, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go to this service industry job and like hope I make enough money for rent, and then kind of like switched everything up, like my trajectory right before the shutdown. But I had been kind of like in these institutions where like anytime I tried to enact change or do something meaningful, it always got watered down by the people in power. And so being at BSA and like being in charge of things, like where I don't have to ask someone else for permission, and like having a boss and having a supervisor that trusts you to do these things, for once, it's like it's kind of shocking, and it's still difficult for me to not be like, can you read my assignment and grade it? But like being able to like actually like do stuff for once. I keep wanting to curse. I don't know if that's okay. I curse too much. And I don't know how I worked around children. That's but I one of my like proudest moments is the makeup room at BSA. So I'm also a co-founder of the Chicago Black Drag Council, and we are working on creating a like safer and more welcome space for everyone in the LGBTQIA nightlife scene in Chicago, besides just like cis white gays. And so I partnered with them. I brought my two worlds together to do a makeup drive for our sex worker and safety advocacy group. And we raised over $60,000 worth of makeup. And now we've turned it into a whole makeup room for trans people to come in and get free makeup. And then now we're doing like a like trans masculine equivalent. Anyone can wear makeup, but this is like our like equivalent for that, with like binders and packers. We're doing the den, which will have all of those, and it's just like really cool to like actually like do something for once that is like tangible and physical, and like these needs that not a lot of people think about, that like trans people need to survive. And things that are like expensive and a lot of people see as like a luxury, but a lot of people like need them. And as much as I or the next person that I'm friends with doesn't believe in gender, society is still not there yet, and we have a long way to go. And so if you want to wear makeup to make yourself feel better, then you should be able to have access to that. And that's one of my favorite things that I love about what I've done so far.
That's amazing. Is that something that can be accessed by like anyone who's interested?
Yeah, so we're open. So the makeup room is open every second and fourth Friday from 12 to 3 p.m. Hours are going to change starting April 12th. It'll be open every Thursday and Friday from 10 to 4 p.m. At our Hyde Park office from at 1515 East 52nd Place, 3rd floor, Chicago, Illinois, 60615. And it's prioritized for sex workers and BIPOC, trans and queer folks. But if you're in need of it, feel free to stop by, ask about the makeup room. And right now, because of COVID, we're only doing like little kits, not really like letting people come in to like search around as much. But we have that. Also, come by, pick up some food or toiletries, whatever you need. We got you.
I love the reframe of beauty and play as not luxury, but a necessity and part of survival. Thank you. Anthony?
Yeah, for me, I can think of three different things. Starting off was, this past summer, Chi Nations Youth Council put together a pretty comprehensive mutual aid plan and group. We networked with each other, and that kind of started because we had funds laying around from a conference that actually got canceled because of the pandemic. And so we were able to redirect, with us being an autonomous youth council, and for the people listening, this is why, autonomy is important. And it's why it's important people, redirect funds to autonomous groups rather than nonprofits, is we were able to redirect those funds to our mutual aid efforts. So we were standing outside of the American Indian Center, which is our cultural or community center here in the city of Chicago, and they were handing out boxes of food from the Chicago Food Depository. And anyone who's ever been to a food pantry, that food is not the best. It's canned goods, cereal, so coming from someone whose family, has gone to food pantries. My family still does go to food pantries. That food can get you through the week, but a lot of the times that's not healthy food. Native people have a lot of health issues. So standing there, we were thinking, what would our ancestors do, or what would they return to in a time like this? And a lot of that is our traditional foods, like berries, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. Buying traditional foods for Native people to eat. We served around 500 Native people throughout the city of Chicago. The Native community here isn't really centrally located in one area. So we did I put a lot of miles on my car driving from the north side to the south side to the west side, delivering food boxes to Native families. But that's exactly what we wanted, because we didn't want Native people leaving their homes because it was unsafe, and it's still unsafe. And so we were able to buy them what they needed to get them through the week. We were able to buy them healthy food, and that kind of snowballed into us being able to buy whole grocery lists for families in our community. Going on to the second thing, and it kind of ties into mutual aid, is the First Nations Garden here in the city of Chicago. It's located on the north side in Albany Park, Wilson and Pulaski. We worked with the 35th Ward Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa. We've been working with him for a couple of years now. And that is the first garden in the city of Chicago that is ran or stewarded by the Native people here in the city. And it's the first time that the city of Chicago has turned over land to Native people here. And so it's 5 plots, 5 consecutive plots here on the north side, and we're able to practice our culture there. We're able to plant traditional foods, but and use it as a cultural hub. But we're able to also use it as a teaching space for the people of Chicago. Anyone's allowed to use the First Nations Garden as a meeting space. Just reach out to the youth council and say, hey, my group wants to meet here, and we can make it happen. And most recently, we heard from the alderman, and we heard from the city's Department of Planning and Development, and they want to make the First Nations Garden a permanent space, and so they put in a TIF request for over $600,000 to do soil remediation and do some physical upkeep of the garden, so putting up a fence, putting trees in, and that's something that I'm really proud of, because that was something that was actually started by my brother and my aunt, 2 people, and then it turned into a whole group-led effort, and that's actually one of the main things that the youth council has been working on now. And then going into from that bouncing off, working with the city, we submitted legislation, with the 35th Ward alderman. The very first thing that we wrote was a land acknowledgement for the city of Chicago to have on the books, and this was the first time that the city of Chicago has ever done a land acknowledgement. So it's a resolution, but this is also the very first time, to my knowledge, that Native people have written legislation that is for them, about them, and with them, and was able to submit it to the city. And so that's something that's very important. I think that, oftentimes people come into our communities and they like to helicopter help. They like to give us help when we're like, what are you doing? We don't need this. And it's unhelpful. It actually hinders our ability to do what we're actually trying to do. But through this, the youth council wrote a resolution. We submitted to city council. It passed with a couple of amendments because of Ed Burke. That's a different story. And then, after that, we were able to submit an ordinance to the city of Chicago abolishing Columbus Day and replacing it with Indigenous Peoples Day. And we've kind of learned the bureaucratic process of that, having to deal with the mayor, who is unsupportive of that, and having to deal with some of her committee heads, but knowing that we have some pretty cool people in city council that are willing to fight for us. But all that to be said, that was work done by Native youth. A generation before me, or in my grandparents' generation, that wouldn't have been something that was possible. My grandpa was part of the generation that was stolen from their homes. He was part of the 60s scoop in Canada, so literally taken from his home and adopted into a white family here, to kill the Indian and save the man, right? And so that was something that was very heartwarming to me, and that I'm just very proud of, because and anything that we do is kind of intertwined or interwoven with each other, and it goes to show that you could be working on one thing over here, and then the next day you're over here, and then the next day you're over here, but when you take a step back, you really realize the beauty of the web that you created and the work that you're doing and will continue to do.
Thank you. Those are 3 incredible projects.
So one of my favorite aspects of GKMC is the mutual aid work we do, like distributing funds to like people that need it for like housing and stuff, and grocery drop-offs. A particular moment I could think of was last year before the lockdown hit, and people ransacked the grocery stores, and for some reason they took all the toilet paper, and a lot of people were like about to go without food because they ransacked all the stores. There really wasn't anything left. So me and some other members of GKMC, we went to Pete's Produce and we bought at least $600 worth of groceries, and we distributed them to different residents in the area. And like, I know what it's like to struggle and to go without sometimes. So I never want to see anybody else in that type of situation. So being able to prevent that was a very heartwarming moment for me.
That's amazing. And I also, just going off of what Anthony was saying too, the idea of someone shopping with a sense of care and thoughtfulness, like it's not going to be just something unhealthy or something that's a random can like that. That's a really beautiful movement that you all organized. So we only have like a couple more questions. So I just want to maybe swap the order up for the last 2, but we can start with you, India. But I want to know, what is something that you do for self-care? And if you have any advice to peers about ways to preserve yourself and maintain your health and peace of mind in doing this work.
For self-care, when I need to take a self-care moment, I tend to shut everything and everybody out and just focus on me and the things that make me happy. And something that makes me happy in particular is art, mainly drawing. Like, I just get my sketchbook and I just draw for the rest of the day. And like, some advice I would give people, whatever your vice is, whatever makes you happy, when you take self-care, shut everything else out and focus on you and what makes you happy.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think the shutting out helps with the way that the pace of things can feel so fast. Like you have to respond to everything so fast. So I think that's great advice. Anthony?
For me, I spend a lot of time actually at the garden. I go there a lot. I actually go there every Sunday and kind of use it as a time to just relax. Sundays are very slow days for me. I don't have to work. I don't really have to do anything. I could just sit there by the fire and be me. I don't have to respond to emails. I can play on social media, and I don't have to have that fear of like, oh, did I get back to this person? And something like advice that I would give to peers or anybody really is try to recognize when you're burning out. Something for me that's even hard for me to do because in the moment a lot of the time you're going, and then you all of a sudden one day are uninterested in the work that you're doing, and you don't want to do it anymore because you know of the way it's making you feel. And that's happened to me a couple of times because I was unable to recognize that I was burning out. Things that burn you out are the places that you work. It could be the activism work that you're doing. It could be things going on at home. And to recognize that, I need to take a step back for a moment and kind of reassess things, realign, get that motivation back into your body. Doing things like that is okay. It's okay to tell people, no, I don't want to do your panel next week, or no, I don't want to speak to your group next week, because you are allowed time to yourself. That's something that is so ingrained in our society. When our work or our jobs say, hey, can you come in? A lot of the times we're going to say yes. And that kind of translates into our activism lives or our everyday lives. And we feel the need that we constantly have to say yes to people. I am guilty of this too. So practice saying no every once in a while. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. And, you don't have to do that. And take care of yourself.
I love that. That reminds me of boundaries. And Prentice Hemphill has this quote that says, boundaries are the distance where I can love myself and love you at the same time. So that's really important. Thank you. And Tati?
Yeah. So I'm also a drag artist and an actor. I've kind of taken a break from acting for a little bit, but starting to get back more into that has been a nice, exciting thing. I just don't want to get into the habit of it feeling like work like it was before, and feeling like a business or a job. I only want to audition for stuff I'm passionate about, or things that just look cool, and not worry about how much it is, but also not being taken advantage of. And drag has just brought me a whole new joy, and having more autonomy over my art, compared to acting where you have people telling you what to do. But I can just make really stupid stuff if I want to, or stuff that only makes sense to me, and I get to listen to my favorite song over and over again to lip sync the lyrics to, and attempt to do makeup. I'm still working on that part. But advice I would give, you don't owe people, especially white cis straight people, your energy or trauma or knowledge. At this point, there is enough out there on the internet that if they really want to know, the struggles of a Black trans person, they can look it up without having to pry it out of you or demand that they know it from you. Unless that is something that you want to do, but never feel obligated to do that. Just because especially if you're not getting paid for that. I think it's important to, everyone has kind of said before, is protect your peace. And Lisaya always stresses to us, like, you can't be good at your job if you are not well rested and well taken care of. So she's always emphasizing to take care of yourself. If you need to take a day off, like, do that. If you need to take like a Black day or a mental health day or a trans day, just do that. Otherwise, you won't be able to continue the work that you're doing at the capacity that you need to.
That's so important about sustainability. A Black day. I'm definitely going to use that. All right. So my last question before we wrap up is just how can folks support what the work that you're doing? Is there any current initiative or anything people could sign or a place they could donate? If you could just share a little bit about that. India, would you mind starting?
For people that want to support us, I guess follow us on social media, reach out to us about different things. Support us with Peace Book, our current campaign that we're working on. I'm not going to get into it, else we'd be here all day. But yeah, just follow our social media accounts and reach out to us.
Awesome. Is it at GoodKids MadCity or at GM? Can you drop your handles for us?
Yes, I can.
For Shy Nations, you can donate to our Venmo, so at Shy-Nations, and follow us on all of our social media. It's at Shy Nations or at Shy Nations Youth. That's kind of where we post a lot of our work, and where you can keep up to us. I stress donating to our Venmo because, again, we are an autonomous group, and that's kind of how we're able to do a lot of the work that we do. And we're able to pay some of the youth in our youth council when people ask them to do panels. We're able to pay them for their time as well.
Yeah, donate, obviously. You can go to bravespacealliance.org. You can follow us on Instagram at Brave Space Alliance or on Twitter, BS Alliance Shy. Another way is to donate goods directly to our pantry or to our makeup room or our den, and kind of thinking more like culturally affirming goods. We're also looking for more crisis pantry pods. So if you have a space, we're looking specifically, like right now on the south side of Chicago, like if you have a space where you could run a pantry, please hit us up. We are looking for more donation pods to feed as many people as we can. If you're a business that wants to get involved, do that as well.
Awesome. And then for GoodKids MadCity, the Instagram and Twitter is at GKMC18, and definitely donate to them as well. Thank you all so much for your time, and congratulations again. I am very inspired by all of you, and just so grateful for the work that you're doing to create radical change in Chicago and beyond. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, McGuire.
Thank you.
I'm catching all the kisses. Wow, wow, wow. What a powerful panel. Jamila, Tati, India, and Anthony, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you. I'm clinging on to all your words of wisdom as we continue this fight for our communities. And you could put "Violence is the Language of America" on a cheesy poster, t-shirt. I'll buy that sucker real quick. This year, Crossroads Fund hosted a youth fund for social change, which is a grant-making committee where young people met with fellow youth activists and organizers across the city doing incredible work, like many of the panelists just discussed, work of direct actions, mutual aid, police-free schools, challenging the over-militarization of communities of color, LGBTQ inclusivity, protecting the land, and so much more. So young people, they're leading this work and they're doing it so fiercely. And I really want to send a special thank you to the young people who were participating in that committee, Jason, Dallin, and Samira of Hannah Center, Stefan over at Chicago Freedom School, Nakia and Imana over at Circles and Ciphers, and Hussam over at Arab American Action Network.
So great. Love all of those folks. This would not be possible without the support of individuals like you and folks who are watching online who make Crossroads Fund a reliable funder for youth organizing for social change. This past year, Crossroads Fund granted over $1.2 million to 136 groups working for social change. Imagine that, 136 groups fighting for racial, social, and economic justice receive the financial resources that allow them to be visionary and transformative.
And because Crossroads Fund is a public foundation, it means you and me and everyone we know makes Crossroads Fund a reliable funder. So please join me in celebrating 40 years of funding youth-led grassroots movements by making a gift tonight. Crossroads Fund continues to be the reliable funder that we are for future change makers, and we can certainly use your support today and currently.
So your gift tonight, whether that's 40,000, 4,000, 400, any amount, and I mean any amount, will help us get to our goal of raising $200,000. You can even sign up to give over time by being a monthly sustaining donor.
And sustainability is key, right? So we learned that. And special thank you to anybody who's currently making a contribution as I speak, refreshing this page and noticing that we're at 60% of our $200,000 goal. It's so exciting. And don't forget, you can also bid in our silent auction, which closes this Friday, March 19th at 8 p.m. And last but not least, join us tomorrow for the very special musical performance by Jamila Woods. So pull up, tell your friends, and see you then. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. So much love to you all. See you then. Bye.
Bye.